If there's a mistake with this, it's usually that students overthink it. We're going to first find all the functions, and then we'll do all the domains in one fell swoop. So part A, by definition, f plus g of x is defined as f of x plus g of x. That's definition. For our problem, what is f of x? Plus, what is g of x? Alright? Combine like terms. How many total x squareds do we have? 4x squared. How many x's do we have? Constants. Done. So you created a new function whose name is f plus g, and it's defined as 4x squared minus 4x minus 16. Stop. What do students try to do? They set it equal to 0 and solve for x. Is this an equation? No, it's a definition. That's why the equal sign is there. So don't make it into an equation. Don't solve for a variable. So all you're doing is making new functions out of old. So to make the new function, whose name is f plus g, you just add the previous two functions. Comment, in B, you are doing what operation? Subtraction. And what's following that subtraction has more than one term. So what should you put around that thing that's following the subtraction? Parentheses. So in part B, you're going to do f minus g. Good. G of x is more than one term. It's x squared and 16. So since that's going to be following the subtraction sign, what do you need to put around it? Sure. So that's definition. What is f of x? What is g of x? But since g of x is more than one term, and I need to subtract all of it, how do I make sure I subtract all of it? There you go. Well, not just separating them, you had to distribute that negative through. We don't need parentheses around the first function because it's before the subtraction. So try to go over here for the remaining parts. Finish part B as well. So for this one, we're going to distribute the negative through. We get 3x squared minus 4x minus x squared plus 16. Combining like terms, how many x squareds do we have? X's. Good. B, by definition, f g of x means f of x times g of x. Since we're multiplying and each function is two terms, we're going to have to FOIL. Very good. What does first give you? Outer, inner, minus 4x cubed. Last, plus 64x. Technically, you can leave this alone. If you want to rewrite it so it's decreased in degree, that's totally fine. X squared times negative 16, negative 48. X squared just tags along. Is that okay? B, by definition, This is f of x divided by g of x. What is f of x? What is g of x? And stop. Alright, now let's talk about domain. As stated, 3 out of the 4 are all the same domain. It's the domain of the numbers that each individual function has in common. So remember, there are 3 things to look for when talking about domain. We've only talked about the first 2. The third one we learn later in this chapter. 1. Looking at this function here, are there any fractions? Any radicals? We don't know that third thing yet, so we ignore it. What's the domain of f? All real numbers. G. Any fractions? Radicals. We don't know that third thing. What's the domain of G? So the domain of f plus, f minus, f time are all the numbers they have in common. What numbers do they have in common? All real numbers. Now let's do f divided by g. We start with what they have in common, all real numbers, but now we take out anything that makes the denominator 0. Our denominator is g, because it's f over g. What values of x make x squared minus 16 equal 0? Plus or minus 4. So the domain is x can't equal plus or minus 4.